Hello, and welcome to this overview of Marquesses in historical romance books. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot. You're watching Random Olive Reads. First up is Falling for the Marquess by Alexa Aston, which is book 3 of the Strongs of Shadowcrest series. We start with August's story here as he's injured at war and sent home, finding that his father died and his brother is on his deathbed, and leaving him the newly inherited Marquess. He's pretty frightened of his own physical scars and his new responsibilities, but makes his brother a deathbed promise that he'll get married next season and sire an heir. Meanwhile, Georgina is the daughter and sister of a duke, getting ready for her debut into society with her sister and two cousins, hoping to hold out for a love match like she has seen with her twin sister and her older brother. She has a chance meeting with August in a bookstore and instantly feels a connection to him and boldly introduces herself and invites him to tea with her family. She's even more glad to find out that he's their neighbor and that their two homes share a garden. He's hesitant at the attention because of his scarred appearance, but she is definitely charming and assertive. An Offer from the Marquess by Sadie Bosk is book 4 of the Necessary Arrangement series. Isabel and Reese accidentally run into each other at a ball, fall into a tangle of limbs, and are very publicly accused of having a tryst. The only way to avoid a scandal is to get married. Except that Reese has absolutely zero social skills and gruffly insults his future wife. He's got his own hangups from being betrayed by his former wife and witnessing Isabel in an indelicate situation many years ago, so he needs a lot of work before he's properly sociable. He's also got a hellion of a young daughter with an overly excitable large dog. Isabel is pretty much a spinster, having been jilted by a former fiance, and now she's running her brother's household. These two spend most of the book not communicating with each other and holding a grudge, but they slowly start to realize that they need to put more effort into understanding each other and making their new family work. The Devil is a Marquess by Elisa Braden is book 4 of the Rescued from Ruin series. Wealthy heiress Charlotte has not had success in finding a husband in her many London seasons, so her father decides to select Benedict, the wastrel impoverished Marquess, to be her husband. Benedict promises sobriety and fidelity to claim his payout after 1 year. Charlotte goes along with the marriage, but really has plans to take half the money in a year and establish her own independence. Somehow these two are stuck together in an impoverished country estate and need to fix it up. They start a tentative friendship, and once Benedict stops being a drunkard and actually works hard at his land, we get to see a really nice slow burn romance develop. Make Mine a Marquess by Tina Gabrielle is book 3 of the Daring Lady series. The newly returned Marquess of Landon is out for revenge against his cousin, who seems to have orchestrated the shipwreck that left him for dead 5 years ago. The cousin spends money recklessly and is draining the estate's funds, while also neglecting the tenants. Landon hopes to find evidence of his cousin's guilt while also seducing the man's fiancée to add further injury. Phoebe is mostly the innocent victim here, but she was the one apathetic enough to become engaged to the villain in the first place. She's trying to avoid any desire or passion, but all of those repressed feelings flare back to life when she meets Landon and is instantly attracted to him. She tries and fails to stay away from him and sees that he really is an upstanding guy for the most part, except that she doesn't know that she's being used for revenge. When the Marquess Was Mine by Caroline Linden is book 3 of the Wagers of Sin series. Georgiana is visiting her friend in the country and finds out that the friend's husband has lost the deed to the house, and this Marquess of Westmoreland is the scoundrel who should be barred entry if he arrives. Well, he does arrive, but he's badly beaten and injured and unconscious. Fearing that her friend will turn him out, Georgiana claims that the man is her fiance, so he'll be brought in and healed. When he wakes up, he doesn't remember who he is, so Georgiana has to continue to pretend this man is her fiance. Rob doesn't remember much of anything, but he's happy to have such a dedicated and beautiful fiance and enjoys spending time with her as he heals. It'll be a terrible muddle once he figures out who he really is and the fact that Georgiana is engaged to someone else. How the Marquess Was Won by Julie Ann Long is book 6 of the Pennyroyal Green series. This is another angsty heartbreaker in the Pennyroyal Green series. We start with a Marquess who has been shot and stumbling his way into a pub for help, and then we go backwards in time 6 weeks to find out what happened to him. Jules is known as the Lord of Ice by reputation and known for both his command of emotion and his callousness with feelings. He's in town for a house party where he's supposed to be courting the family niece, Elizabeth, so he can secure the last of his lost property in her dowry. Except he also meets school teacher Phoebe, who has been invited to the same house party as a companion, and he's much more intrigued and entertained by her. They talk and banter and flirt and know that there's no future for them, but still, Jules becomes more open and communicative when he's with Phoebe, and she gets the opportunity to actually use her wit and intellect and be appreciated for it. How to Best a Marquess by Jenna McGregor is book 3 of the Widow Rules series. The prologue consists of a very charming proposal from Julian to Beth, but things didn't quite turn out the way they expected. 8 years later, Beth is now one of 3 widows of a duke's younger brother and wasn't actually married to the guy at all. In her quest to recover her lost dowry and get away from her older brother's influence, she asks a destitute Julian for assistance, offering him half the money. We follow with a road trip and second chance romance, even though Beth is adamant that she'll never marry and knows that her reputation will be detrimental to Julian's reputation. Julian just wants to convince Beth that he's sorry for walking away all those years ago when her brother denied his proposal and that he's still in love with her. The Marquess Makes His Move by Diana Quincy is book 3 of the Clandestine Affair series. Alex is a reclusive Marquess who is disguised as a footman at a mapmaker's house to look for evidence that his property lines were falsified. Of course, he's terribly attracted to the mapmaker's wife, Rose, even though he is supposed to be courting a proper young lady. Alex is a terrible footman, but somehow learns the plight of the working class and promises to treat his own servants better. There's a lot of humor mixed in here, along with the deceptions we find out from Rose's husband. Her Wicked Marquess by Stacey Reed is book 2 of the Sinful Wallflower series. In this one, we have a guy with a rakish reputation, but he really just has that as a cover story because he's trying to find the reason why his childhood love killed herself, and he's looking for revenge. Meanwhile, our girl Marianne is trying to avoid her parents marrying her off to someone older and creepy, so she spreads a rumor about herself getting ruined by this guy. Unfortunately, he has enemies, so now she's a target and he has to protect her. It's actually really fun seeing these two get to know each other under the circumstances. He sneaks into her room at night and they talk and play chess and develop a really deep and meaningful relationship. The Wrath of the Marquess by Barbara Russell is book 3 of the Victorian Outcast series. Cora and Ethan have a chance meeting when they're caught together in an earthquake, but she is married to an abusive husband and he's on his way out to fight pirates on behalf of the crown. 4 years later, they meet again, and Cora is still stuck married to the horrible, terrible, no good, abusive Earl, even though she is planning to run away with her teenage son when she saves enough money. Meanwhile, Ethan has inherited the title of a Marquess and come back as a scarred war hero, and he is running a home for injured veterans. It's a slow-moving romance as they meet again, become friends, and then fall in love under challenging circumstances. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found a book or two to add to your TBR. Links to all of these books are in the description box. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.